In the windswept canyons of the American West, history is written in the sand. There are secrets buried here, clues to a time in the remote past when the land was very different, a time when the continent was young. North America was the real Jurassic Park. Western North America, 68 million years ago. Prehistoric Montana bears little resemblance to today. As far as the eye can see, a lush green forest dominates the plains. Nourished by seasonal rains, carpets of ferns mingle with evergreens in the shade of a dusky swamp. Temperatures are constant, around the mid-70s, and the humidity is high. These conditions create the perfect environment for the evolution of the most sophisticated and bizarre group of dinosaurs the world has ever seen. Among the trees and shrubs, hundreds of species fight for survival in a brutal primeval world. From this mosaic of ancient life, one creature would emerge, king of the jungle. It was the most terrifying and fearsome beast to have ever stalked the earth. A mighty roar sends a chill through the forest. The ground shakes, and every creature within shouting distance runs for cover. Tyrannosaurus Rex is master of all it surveys. But today, something is wrong. One T-Rex is having a bad day. Dazed and confused, it staggers through the woods looking for water and safety. Tearing through the trees, it collapses on the banks of a river. But this T-Rex picked the wrong time and place to take a water break. As it sprawls across the warm sand, a flash flood roars downstream, engulfing the unwary dinosaur. Despite a final breathless struggle to escape, it drowns and is buried in sediment. Over the next 68 million years, the scene of this tragedy would undergo a series of dramatic, earth-wrenching changes. What was once the lush domain of the dinosaurs is now the arid badlands of Montana. But T-Rex wasn't the only creature that died here. The area around Fort Peck is littered with the bones of the last great dinosaurs to walk the earth. Preparing to head out once more into these primeval killing fields is dinosaur hunter Keith Rigby of Notre Dame University in Indiana.
Okay, guys, let's get the truck loaded.
T-Rex is probably the world's most famous dinosaur, yet it's only found in North America. Its mystique is enhanced by its rarity. Since the first Tyrannosaur was discovered, not far from here, in 1905, only 19 others have been unearthed. Then in the summer of 1997, Rigby and his team made what may be the most important find of them all. Driving back to the site, Keith remembers the moment he first realized they were onto something big.
They had toe bones, they had nearly a complete hand of a tyrannosaur, things that could not be confused with any other kind of dinosaur. And they were big.
Perhaps the biggest ever, Rigby's T-Rex is an incredible 65 feet long.
And to see this specimen in the ground with 6 and 8 inch teeth, glistening, shiny, coal black against these rather drab sandstone, there's an exhilaration that goes through you, the likes of which I've never experienced before. I guess it must be like winning the Academy Award for a particularly good acting performance. This is the first thing we found. The claws knew we had a carnivorous dinosaur. The finger bones meant that this claw goes with a finger of a hand, perhaps of a T-Rex, but we knew it was T-Rex when we found the foot bones with the telltale dimple of such a large carnivorous dinosaur. Then we really got excited.
Tyrannosaurus rex, meaning terrible lizard, roamed North America 65 to 70 million years ago. An average of 50 feet long and weighing 6 tons, it was the height of a 2-story building. With a top speed of 20 miles an hour, T-Rex was the ultimate predator. Further digging uncovered more fragments. Buried in the sediment of an ancient river, they hinted that the dinosaur probably drowned.
The dinosaurs, if they were feeling poorly or were critically wounded, would perhaps migrate to water, as many large mammals do today. The elephants migrating to water during times of stress.
It's not just the size of Rigby's T-Rex that's generating excitement. Eventually, his team unearthed 2 more tyrannosaurs, one adult and one juvenile. Scientists long thought the T-Rex was a solitary creature that lived and hunted on its own. But the discovery of a group buried together suggests he may have been a family man.
There may have been a social structure when an injured individual was in fact cared for, fed, or provided sustenance by its siblings or whatever its social group was, because it certainly could not have survived alone. Here it is, the smallest of the bones in the foot of Tyrannosaurus rex. Has 3 toes. This is the smallest of the ends of the digits of a very large carnivore. Imagine this. This of a 45 to 50 foot long animal, 20 to 25 feet tall, mean and nasty, and could have anything it wanted for lunch.
T-Rex ruled North America in the twilight of the Cretaceous, the last of 3 geologic time periods that make up the Mesozoic, the age of reptiles. The first was the Triassic, 245 million years ago. The second was the Jurassic, which began 205 million years ago. It's the Jurassic period in North America that would make dinosaurs famous. In the 19th century, most of the continent was still untamed and unexplored. Dinosaurs were almost unheard of, but things were about to change. In 1877, a chance discovery would launch the great American bone rush and ignite the bitterest feud in the history of paleontology. Edward Cope of Philadelphia was brilliant and greedy. He wanted fame and fossils. His rival, O.C. Marsh, was also ambitious and rich enough to pay for what he wanted. Their battle centered on a site called Como Bluff in Wyoming, where rocks are exposed dating back to the Jurassic period. Like his 19th century predecessors, modern-day fossil hunter and maverick scientist Bob Baker still prospects for dinosaurs in the rocks of Como Bluff. For him, this is the real Jurassic Park.
Como Bluff is the spot where the first complete skeletons of Jurassic giants were found. Not one or two, but dozens. And they were first found not by scientists, but by two guys working for the railroad.
Come here!
The men sent a message describing their discovery to Marsh at Yale University. Marsh immediately sent a check for $75 and a team to help them excavate.
Marsh's people had already been here 2 years. They had already dug up 30 or more skeletons. They had giant plant-eating dinosaurs. What they did not have was a giant meat eater. No one did.
In the summer of 1879, Cope's men snuck into Como Bluff, hoping to beat Marsh in the race to discover the first meat eater. There they hit the jackpot, a complete skeleton of the tyrant of the Jurassic, Allosaurus.
Marsh's men never knew who was there and what was taken. All they saw was the great big hole. And in those boxes was the first complete skeleton of a giant meat-eating dinosaur ever found anywhere in the world. And it went to Philadelphia. It was rustled.
The discovery made headlines. Marsh vented his anger in the press. Now the battle for the bones would be fought on the front page as the two competitors vied to discredit each other. Despite their feud, Cope and Marsh left science an amazing legacy. During their intense 25-year rivalry, they unveiled 176 new species of dinosaurs, including famous names such as Apatosaurus, Stegosaurus, and Diplodocus. Cope and Marsh had unleashed a horde of awesome creatures on an unsuspecting world. Now the scene was set for the true story of the dinosaurs to really take off. This is the Morrison Formation, one of the most spectacular rock deposits on Earth. 1,000 feet deep and 150 million years old, it dates back to the Jurassic period when dinosaurs ruled North America. Today, it's the largest dinosaur graveyard in the world. Stretching 1,200 miles north from New Mexico to Canada and 700 miles east from Idaho to Nebraska, these ancient rocks expose the secrets of a time when the Earth as we know it didn't exist. Long before dinosaurs first appeared, all the continents were joined together in one giant landmass called Pangaea. Then, during the Jurassic period, a series of huge faults opened up in the Earth's crust, dividing Pangaea in two. Situated above the equator, North America became part of a new continent called Laurasia. But it was still unrecognizable. California lay underwater and was as far north as Alaska today.
There are volcanoes, the classic volcanoes that dotted the landscape, clouds of volcanic dust. By and large, the climates were rather dry.
Dinosaurs have been found as far east as New Jersey, but only in the west are the rocks, a time capsule of the Jurassic. They reveal that 150 million years ago, the Rockies had yet to form, and the land was mainly flat. Streams of seasonal rivers fed a forest of lush vegetation, while in the